Okay, so there were some questions that I didn't answer. Oh, if you want one of those books, I'll say one for you if you want to put a reserve on it and deposit it on it. You'll be the one to get it. I'll expect 2 of each at least coming in.
I want one.
All right, well, see me up the house. Okay, your question.
Actually, that was Mike's, and he's not.
Not back yet. So there was another question over here, the trees. The herons. You know, we have a unique situation here down by the marina there, because I do all my work on my boat in the marina. I can't work up on the campus. I can't work in hallways or offices. I just not able to concentrate. So I wrote all my books down on this boat that I have, and I never take the boat out because no one will go out with me, and I don't know how to do it. Every time I do take it out, I crash it into something, so I never take it out. So I found out they had a plug-in down there. I said, oh, I'll keep the boat and work on it. So of course, when the computers came in, that you could have portable computers, that was great. So I could sit there as the cheapest marina rent you'll pay. So, I mean, marine view with wildlife and birds and breezes. So I kept the boat, and I wrote all my books on it, plugged it into the power down there, and it was really great. And one of the best things that I saw about it were the birds. I love the birds down there, all the different birds that came visit. I got to know all the birds. And of course, all the other people, a lot of them on the boats, hate birds because they dump on their boats. So they're all sort of grousing about the birds. And you know, to my mind, if you're going to live near the waterfront, you got to take what the waterfront produces. And you know, so they kept topping the palm trees. They didn't realize, and I walked every day, and I could see the palm trees is where the great blue herons nested, up in the palm trees, at the top of the palm trees. No one saw them up there. But I began to get the rhythms of the birds, when they came in, when they nested, when they had eggs, when they fledged. And so these people were reading stuff the Audubon Society was supposedly checking up before they topped the trees. And of course, they had all the dates wrong. So they were saying the birds didn't come till April. The birds were finished fledging by April. The birds came in December because it's California, not Virginia. And you know, and there were there were about, I'm wiping my hand on my shirt, my nose, my throat, I don't have a Kleenex. If anyone has a Kleenex, lend it to me. Otherwise, I'll do it on my shirt, will be on the table all the time. Thanks a lot, man, I appreciate it. I could see that the birds were, you know, when the birds were coming and when they were laying eggs, and people would walk under the trees, never see them. But if you walk, you see all these drop pools under the trees where they're building their nests, you know, and you could see every tree where they had a nest in. And they said, oh, so when the fight came to stop the tree toppers, you know, the newspapers covered it because I called some of them. I'm used to the calling newspapers from the Dead Sea Scrolls, struggle to free the Dead Sea Scrolls. We had to get all the newspapers involved in that, and we ran it out of this university here. So, you know, the marine authorities and all their toadies tried to say the birds were only roosting. The birds don't roost. Every time they go and land with a stick in their mouth, I watch them, they have sticks in their mouths. They build these things very, very, you know, industriously, you know, hundreds of landings, hundreds of takeoffs and everything. And every time they land, they would dump something on the ground. Every time they took off, they'd dump something. So around all the trees that they were nesting were the drop pools, as I call them. So you could see where they were. And so they come along with their buzzsaws and they try to cut all these things down. Well, it turns out that there's actually a $20,000 fine for disturbing nesting birds in the California Seacoast Code. So we pointed it out to the Marine Rangers when they came, and at least I did. And then the newspapers got it, and then they got frightened. So they all got the Audubon people, and they said, oh, they're not nesting yet. But I could show them from the drop pools that they all were nesting. So that fight went on for 2 years. It was covered in Long Beach Press Telegram. Finally, the Marine people passed the thing. They wouldn't top the trees during the nesting because they knew they were liable to get a fine if they did, and that some of us were watching. And so they said January 15th to September 15th. Well, and they're wrong. The birds come in December, start coming in December, and they leave around the middle of August. But anyway, got to thank God for small favors. They thrived this year because they left them alone. But there's this one guy who's a very aggressive guy. because he has a cafe sooner or later there. You probably know it, and some of you sit there probably. And he claims the birds dump on his customers out in the patio there. Well, the birds love the trees near his restaurant. It is true, because they love only nest in certain trees because they want the breezes and they want to go down. They want to catch the breeze taking off, and they want to have the breeze landing, and they also want to go back to the water channels. I've observed all this to fish. They fish back in the channel Los Alamitos Bay there. So they got a perfect takeoff landing from his cafe. You'll notice you go around the corner. There's no nests. A couple of about 50 meters further on down, but there they are. So there was a big fight last year. He was going to cut the trees down. And he complained, and the marine authorities, I don't know, I don't want to make any accusations that are slanderous, but maybe there was money that was involved. So they gave him permission to take these trees. So he was about to do it last December, and it was all ready to go, and then I came down and got the TV people there and showed them that the birds had already come and they were nesting. And, the TV cameras, it was on Channel 4 News, and they showed they were nesting. You could see the birds were nesting, and the nests were there, and they were sitting on them. It was all in Long Beach, West Africa. Beautiful, beautiful pictures of the great blue herons. So we won that battle to some degree, but he just put off his thing, so he's going to cut the trees next week. And I submit that he has no right to cut down palm trees that have been growing there 60 years. It took 60 years to get that told. Why? Because he wants to make a little more money for his cafe. If people come to his cafe and want to sit outdoors and do the marine life, then they should enjoy the fact that they're nesting birds in this beautiful great blue heron rookery. These are so majestic birds, anyone would be thrilled to have them there. Well, everyone at the marina is frightened to death to do anything about it because they're afraid of losing their slips if they cause trouble. So it has to be outside agitators who come down and stop these people from doing this. And I'm not going to do it anymore. I mean, I'm point man as it is, and I got bigger fish to fry and more important things to do. But any environmentalist who can be apprised of this kind of thing, that would be great, because they're going to do this in from September 15th on. They're going to cut down or move, as they say. I don't know how you can move 50-year-old palms, but the birds don't go where you move the trees. The birds don't, because you move the trees. They say, oh, we're going to move the trees, and the birds will have their nest. The birds only nest in certain areas where they do this thing, and it's a beautiful thing. I mean, there's around 30 or 40 pairs, and that's in an urban setting. That's a bigger story than the hawk in New York. That was, here you right in the middle of an urban setting. You've got a great blue heron rookery there in the middle of Long Beach, and these jerks want to cut the trees down. That's what we're dealing with here. So yeah, anybody that you know and can tell that wants to be an environmental activist and can tip off other September 15th is when it's going to happen. Sometime after that, I don't know the exact day, but they'll do it so quick you wouldn't even be able to say Cut Robinson. And less people are turned on to the fact that they're going to do it. And they're going to take palm trees, which are majestic, that belong to the city of Long Beach and the people of Long Beach,